Also, I saw her. I was like, you said that you want us to eat all the food. That's all. Now once we eat it, now we agree. Like,
I still have some of that.
Right there.
I got it. It's good.
That was okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want support.
Perfect. You have a water.
Perfect. Yeah, take a seat. And
Right there.
yeah, you know, you get the comfy.
Okay.
Can explain.
If the boys come, they're gonna be like,
where's my seat?
Oh, I got it. All right, so it's 7:35. You guys know what we do. So I don't even know why y'all getting comfy. So everyone stand up. So you should have Matt. You got all the candy and stuff like that. All right, so how do we begin every class? Our affirmation. All right. So, number 1.
I will attend each class.
Number 2.
I will get a bank account.
Number 3.
I will retain information from this class.
Number 4.
I will use this class to help me later in life.
And finally, number 5.
I will accomplish my goals.
Number 5.
I will accomplish my goals.
No. You know we say number 5 louder than all of them.
Oh.
Number 5.
I will accomplish my goals.
Thank you.
that was the loudest ever said. I swear. That's not true.
No, y'all said it louder. When we had that competition for some candy.
Oh, where did that?
Oh, that comes at the ceremony.
I was here for that. Y'all also didn't choose.
No, they did. She said Kit Kats.
Oh, that's why you ate all the
I
food.
said because
You said what? He said we can get. Oh, we're so fancy. All right. So page 38 in your books.
wait, test is next week.
No, it's at the end of class, you know.
Okay, Kimbrough.
It's supposed to be at the end of class, but we're gonna take it at the beginning of next week. Okay. 38.
Who?
It's your final exam. You're gonna have to share with your buddy
True.
the book.
Wait, do one hits for now.
I thought you
Just
didn't
fill
want
it in.
candy again. They might come.
Okay, but they're not here right now.
All right. So what we're gonna talk about right now is understanding debt, getting out of debt. What is credit? Your credit score, FICO score, and establishing credit, and fixing your credit, right? There's a lot of credit in here. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, let's disconnect that. I already did. Okay. All right. So, understanding debt, right? So we all talked about coming up to this. We all talked about, the type of life we want to live, what we want to do with retirement, our goals for our future, and everything like that. None of that can be accomplished if we find ourselves getting into debt as we get older, right? So we have to understand what it is and how to avoid it, right? So debt can be defined as a state of owing. When you owe things, it's debt. Remember, this is that 4-letter word that needs to not be in our vocabulary and in our life.
Because we all know, again, there's a lot of 4-letter words in the English language that we're not supposed to say, right?
Yeah.
I know y'all thinking a lot of them right now, but just think of them. Don't say them, right? And a lot of debt should be one of them.
I know, but what's another word? Come on now.
Not shoot.
That's fine.
That's what I had. So, what are some examples of debt?
Shop.
Card, yep. So car loan, yep.
House debt.
Student
Yes.
loan.
Yes.
I was about to say that.
Yes.
Credit card.
Yes.
Payday loan.
Yeah. Read it, girl. personal loans, anything with a loan in it, right? Because you're borrowing, it does not belong to you. Until your house is paid off, it is a debt, right? Good or bad, it's still a debt, right? So, we're gonna skip that part. So there's a method that we use when we're in debt and we want to get out of debt, right? And so this is basically an exercise. So if you ever find yourself at the kitchen table talking to your parents and they're like, girl, I don't got no money, I got these bills and this debt to take care of. Well, you can say, well, mom, dad, I know this great method that we can use, right? And it's basically, it works kind of like this. So it's where you prioritize your debt based on their size, right? Where you start with your smallest debt first, then you work to your larger one. It gives you some type of psychological reward because what happens one of those BHAGs in front of us, right? Those big, hairy, audacious goals. And remember, we talked about, can we like just jump in and do something huge right away? No, right? Because what's gonna happen, like as humans, we get disappointed, right? You can't set an expectation that, man, I'm gonna run a 5K and only give yourself like 2 weeks to train, right? You gotta give yourself a little bit more time. Same thing when we're getting out of debt. Like it's so easy for us to consume, right? To buy. But when it's time for us to actually get ourselves out of debt, then it takes a little time to start off with a smaller one first so we can say, oh, this is working. This process of denying myself what, all these things, right better later on is working.
Question to the class. Do you guys feel that there's anything out there as far as debt that's actually good debt?
No.
I'm doing old stuff. Payment history.
You said payment history?
I let somebody owe me something.
So, I mean, does anyone think that there's any debt that's good debt?
700.
You're not
Josh,
understanding the question, Joshua.
Not the amount of money.
Based on credit scores.
So unanimously as a class, we feel that there's no such thing as good debt?
Yeah, that.
Unless you.
Yeah.
So, actually, let's dive into that a little bit. Because you bring up a good point. How does it feel when someone owes you?
But no.
No, let's talk
It
about
will
it.
take forever.
That's the thing.
And I be trusting.
They say don't give out, don't let what you can't lose.
Girl, you preaching.
Like,
Yes.
you can't afford to lose.
Yes.
Can you imagine just going to like, what holiday is coming up?
Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
You can skip the whole
It's Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
It's Christmas
Well,
season.
Thanksgiving, because right? Thanksgiving, you do what? You sit around the table with your friends and loved ones, right?
And you give thanks.
And you give thanks and everything like that, right? But what if you're sitting across the table from your cousin that owe you $250, but he wearing the new Jordans that cost $300?
You can get them Jordan, but you can't pay me back. Like, okay.
So now your relationship has done what?
I'm not a big pusher.
It's your relationship is strained, right?
If it's like a good couple months if you ain't give me it back,
Mhm.
no.
And
I would never
family
pay you
to
again.
me is not a big deal.
I feel like I'm thankful.
If they tell you they're gonna pay you back, it's not a big deal.
I'm thankful that he got his new shoes.
If I told you I was paying $100,
Why
you
would
spend
What
$100.
about this side? What do you guys
And
feel?
then I'll give it back.
How would you feel that someone owes you money,
You're my
right?
friend.
But yet they
I
have
give you up.
like the newest phones on?
No, it ain't good. iPhone 13.
You'd be
I
mad,
put
right?
that out there.
No, be mad.
How would y'all feel?
I'm like, what?
He said
Yeah.
moms and stuff.
So listen. So
I don't even like those.
But you know what I mean. That's the thing. Like your relationship is strained. Your relationship ain't right now because that person they owe you money. Even though they owe you money, you're not in debt. They're in debt to you.
it always depends how much it was, though.
Well, here's the key point though. What did you say earlier about loaning money?
Oh, like, you can't learn what you don't know what you can't afford to lose.
Exactly. So if you're in a mindset that, you know, I'm gonna loan this money out.
And you're expecting it back.
Exactly. You're expecting, because you bring up families, right? You bring up family, which is a great point, because a lot of the times, you know, we loan and borrow from our family members, right? So you should be in a situation, right, financially, in which we want all you guys to be in this situation financially, that if you are loaning money out to like your family members, if you don't get it back, you need to chop that up as, you know what, I'm just helping that person out.
It's more, so if you change your mindset in that sense, it's more of I'm gifting it to you instead of I'm lending it to you. Because guess what? At the end of the day, you still, listen, the relationship is strained, like Mr. Reed said, right? And you're gonna feel some type of tension there because it's like, yo, but I was expecting it back, right? Like you still have the expectation in your head. And so now think about that on the, like the reverse side, right? Reverse side, you know, you have all this debt out there and your debtors will eventually call you and be like, I want my money and all this stuff and stuff like you. The way that you feel when you have debt, when you owe somebody, it's like you have a mountain, right? And it's not a good feeling because you literally feel so bogged down by all of this stuff, these things that you thought you needed, but then now they kind of are owning you instead of you controlling them, right? Like that's the one thing you don't want, right? Because on either side of the equation, it doesn't feel good, right? So if you're ever going to give something to someone, don't say that you're lending it to them. Give it because you can afford to give it, right? Just like you said, right? Because if you used to like, all right, you borrow this and all right, Friday. And Friday coming and you're expecting it because you're like, oh, okay, he owed me $5, you know, Saturday, I'm expecting to go to the movies with my friend, and right now I only have 10, but I'm expecting that $5 on Friday. That'll add up, you know, that's popcorn right there. So, you know, in your mind, you're like, it's coming. And then when it doesn't come, it's like a whole disappointment. It's like I'm ready to fight you right now. And it's only $5, but it's the feeling and the character behind it.
I used to do that to my older brother. So he would get a ride like this little car service named OJ, and it's $5 to get from place to place. So he would have 5, but to get back home he would need another 5. Mm-hmm. So he would come and ask me. I'd be like, all right, money back whenever he got his paycheck. And I was like, however long it takes you to give it to me after you get your paycheck, that's $2 more.
Oh! You didn't charge interest.
Okay, so you was taxing.
Yep.
Interest.
So, you know, just kind of just bring this all back, you know, we spoke about compound interest and the fact that compound interest can act as a double-edged sword, right? Doesn't matter, you know, what side you're on, you can still get cut. Because if you're on the side of compound interest that you're receiving it, it's great, right? But if you're on the side of compound interest when you have to pay it, it's not good, right? So that's the same thing with, you know, with being lending your family members or your friends money, right? Because on one end, you can get burnt and then your relationship is strained, right? Right? And then on the other end, right, you know, you can be that forgiving person and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna just gift it to you. But guess what? If that person asks you for money in the future, what's gonna happen? You're probably gonna say no, right? Mm-hmm. So now that relationship is strained on that end too. So when we get into debt, and that's why we say debt is that 4-letter word, that should be with the other 4-letter words, because it all depends on how you use it. Like it can really, like it breaks up families and friendships and things of that nature.
Yeah. So we're gonna go through this exercise, right? So this is the exercise we use when we're trying to get out of debt, right? So in this example, and you do have a little box in your book if you want to write this down, right? So in this example, in this theoretical world, right, we are in debt. We have 3 credit cards. One credit card has $1,000 on it that we've used, another $1,500, another $2,000. We have a car payment because we feel that it would be necessary to get that nice ride that we wanted, right? $50,000 left on that car payment. And we have student loans of $30,000, which in our universe, that's actually not bad. So, The minimum payments on these, right? The first card is $50. So when we talk about minimum payments when it comes to cards and debt and everything, minimum payments are the amount you have to pay every month if you haven't paid off the full total, right? So this is what we have to pay every month. This is what they're saying, like, listen, you gotta make some type of payment towards all the purchases you've made. So our first card is $50 because it's a little lower. The second card is $75. The third card is $100. Our car payments that we're doing, because we agreed to these, right, is $479 a month, and you're paying $500 toward your student loans, which, not bad for adults, I guess. So you are used to every single month making these monthly payments, right? These debt are here. But you're like, you know what? I cannot continue to do this month after month. Like, something's got to give, like, right? I want my money to belong to me. I'm tired of paying all these other people, right? So you're like, I need to tackle this.
Where would you write down your monthly debt payments? What form would you use to write down your monthly debt payments?
What are you talking about? What form?
What form would you use to write down your monthly debt payments?
Where would you put it? If you were calculating all your expenses on a monthly basis.
Underneath the maximum payment.
But where? What form will you use?
Starts with a B.
What?
It starts with a B?
It's not on the page, Doc. It's not on the page.
Form. I don't know what you're talking about. Form. What form?
So you have monthly expenses. These are expenses that you have to pay out every month, right? Because these are bills that you have. So what form would you put these under?
Oh,
Thank you. I was looking at you because I knew you knew it. Say it louder. Your budget. Because remember in the budget you have a section that has all the debt that you owe. It's a debt section. Because now that you put these under your budget, you will pay these on a monthly basis because it's within your budget.
Yes, these minimum payments. So the way we start to eliminate debt, right, is, all right, we go into it and we're like, okay, $1,000. I mean, I could knock $1,000 out, cut off going to get coffee every single morning, right? Because that's like $3-4 every day, right? Don't go out to eat. So you're basically cutting back your lifestyle because you're like, man, I got a greater win that I need ahead of me, right? So you're like, okay, great. Make that, knock that out. Great, it's paid in full. So now, let's go on to card number 2. Card number 2, and we go into this with the same enthusiasm we had with card number 1, right? However, something's changed because now, guess what? The $50 we used to put towards card number 1, it's freed up now. So now instead of just putting $75 towards card number 2, now we're putting $125 because we basically just rolled our minimum payment from card 1 into card 2. Things we're already used to doing anyway, right? We're just rolling it over. And when you're doing this, like, depending on your enthusiasm, it's like, all right, well, if I can pick up extra hours at work or any overtime or any side hustle, because we can come up with a side hustle in a minute, right? Oh, you want your hair done? I can do that for you? $20, right? So you put that towards your debt. Anything, right? You're putting that towards your debt. So card 2 gets paid off. Great. Now we're doing the same thing. We're going down the line. Now we have card number 3. We've been putting and your car payment is the first huge one that you have on the list, right? Do you think it's going to be like that? No, right? This is where the tenacity and the motivation and the looking in the mirror and giving yourself affirmations comes in, because it's not going to be something that happens within a couple of months. This is going to be something that happens in a couple of years, right? Because it's a bigger amount. But you're like, man, I can do this, because guess what? If I don't have to pay other people this money, already we're at $704 on a monthly basis that we're keeping within our budget for ourselves, right? So that's $704 now, with the payment we used to make from car one and from the other cars that we're now adding to car payment. $704 every month now. And we're doing that. And so we're doing that consistently, and we're not going to. So now we go back, now we've taken care of that payment, and we're on to our student loans. Student loans. It's more than our payment has been. So instead of just $500 per month, we have the $704 plus the $500, and we have $1,204 every month that we're putting towards the student loans. And mind you, this is not overnight, but guess what? We have to understand that it's so quick for us to go to the store and what? And buy, right? But it takes discipline to actually get out of our debt and win with money.
Today, me and Kendra went to the store, and I was hungry. So you know when you're hungry and you're in the store, you just
Buy everything.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the store and I just kept grabbing stuff, and then I see something that I wanted, so I was like, Kendra, what should I put back? And I put something back, but then I go to the cash register and I pick it right back up and put it on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her to tell me no, and yeah. But
She ain't tell you no?
I told her after I spent it, tell me no, because I can't spend my money no more. I spent too much.
Oh,
you
so
found
you're
yourself an
not.
accountability partner, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do your budget.
$40 at the corner store. What do you mean?
$40?
What are you talking? You lying?
Hell no. Why you lying?
Wait, it's mad cheap over there. It's only like $2 for two big old things. Like, no, the corner store is mad cheap.
Yeah, but you own it. See, that's how it gets you in trouble, because I find myself doing that sometimes when I go into Dollar Tree, because everything is $1, right? And you go in there, you're like, oh, but I could use that. Oh, but I could. Next thing I know, $15 later. It's like, how does it add up to much?
Or Walmart or Amazon.
15.
So listen,
I love Walmart. My grandmother loves it because
it gets you. It's so easy for us to consume,
I have to say.
right? But we have to have that same vigor of consumption as we need to have for when we have, or like when we get ourselves into a hole that we need to pull ourselves out of.
Mhm.
So just imagine, guys, this is $1,204. $1,004 that we are literally like giving to other people every single month, right? Could you imagine? Could you imagine if you add that to your Roth IRA, right? Could you imagine decided like, oh, yeah, I know some great mutual funds that I could actually fund right now to add that to, right? Like your retirement and your investments. Could you imagine if you decide to save up, put that towards your down payment for your new home?
You know how many Snapchat stocks you could buy with that?
It is full.
Paid in full. This, by far, is the best feeling in the world when you have no more debt. When you're not indebted to anyone, it is liberating. So enjoy it now, and don't ever get yourself there at this moment. If you find yourself having these money conversations with your parents, with your aunt, uncles, with your older cousins or anything, let them know that you have a plan, you have a method that can work yourself out, that you know you can work on to get out of, because the way you win with money is the way you have to be disciplined, and you have to tell your money what to do, right? And the first thing we gotta start off with, you guys already know, is your credit. So, what is credit? Credit is the ability to borrow money or access goods or services if you understand that you will pay it later. You'll pay it later. So it's interesting to know that, it's not in there, don't look. It's interesting to know, right, that majority of us in here knew what credit card was, right? We all knew what it was. We all like understood the concept of credit. Who can tell me is credit like is it a good thing?
Yes.
If it's high, how do we gain credit? Who can tell me?
Paying off your debt.
That's good.
Yeah, you probably like get gas on it at first, and then like work your way up to like bigger bills. We always have that money to pay it off.
The last part, right? So society has taught us, right, in these last few years, like probably about 50, 60 or so, that credit is important, right? And establishing credit is important, and that's how we so-called are winning, right? But in order for us to establish any form of credit, we have to go towards that four-letter word that we don't want. You literally have to find yourself consuming things that you pay back, right? So you, in a sense, kind of have to go into debt, but it has to be debt that you can pay off. You have to have the money to take care of that loan. So yes, you do start off low. So your credit score shows lenders how, did I say something? No, that's it. So credit score, right? How do we obtain this credit score? So your credit score shows lenders how likely you are to default. Basically, am I a good consumer? And when I consume, do I give back, right? If you lend me something, will I give it back? If you give me $10, am I going to pay it back? Am I going to give it to you the Friday that I told you I'm going to give it to you, or am I going to be late? Will you default or not, right? Because if you decide that, you know what, it's not going to happen this Friday, it's going to happen next Friday, that's defaulting on our original agreement. This is what credit tells lenders.
Yeah, there's a misconception that, or will tell us how good you are at, paying your debts back and things of that nature. But when a lender looks at your credit score, the first thing that pops into their head, especially if it's low, is this person doesn't pay your bills, right? But if you have a high credit score, that doesn't pop up in the lender's mind because you're good. Your credit score shows that. So the likelihood on how, if you guys will default, is what the lenders are looking at when they look at your credit score. Because no lender wants to lose money by loaning you money and knowing that you're not going to pay them back.
So the more likely you are to default, the more likely you are to not to default, the higher your interest will be. Wait, did I say that wrong? I'm just going to read what's on the screen. The more likely you are, the higher your interest. So, case of point. So you guys decide that, you know what, I'm 18, I'm grown, I can do what I want. You decide you're going to go out and you're going to get a credit card, and you get this credit card and you are, it's your first time, so they don't really know anything about you yet. Will you be good? Will you not be good? They don't really know yet, right? So when you get that first card, you're probably going to have a high interest rate, right? It's probably going to be like 24%, right? Which means that for any dollar that amount that you borrow on that card, if you don't pay it off immediately, right, they're going to tax you 24% on top of that, right? So your score, your credit score, will range from 300 to 850. 850 being superb, right? It's a lot of horse playing with the banks there. So the best interest rates are given to those with a 740 or higher, which means that you've shown lenders that if you trust me to use your money how I want to, when I want to, I will pay it back to you on time. I'll pay it back to you early, and you don't have to worry about me not doing that. So for them realizing that, they're going to reward you with a smaller interest rate. So instead of your interest rate being like 24%, it'll probably be like 5% or something like that, right? Depending on the company. So the FICO score. A FICO score is a type of credit score created by the Fair Isaac Corporation. So it's just another form of how lenders, right? This one, however, was created by Fair Isaac Corporation, and they have a mathematical percentage that they go off, and we're gonna go into those.
Yes, so Steph is gonna go into this, but there's three major credit bureaus, right? You have Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those are the three major credit bureaus in the United States. All three of those major credit bureaus use the FICO score or the FICO information to calculate what your credit score is, right? So this is very important, this FICO score, and she's gonna break down exactly how they determine what your credit score is.
You got it? I forgot to put you up front. Yeah. So a type of credit score created by the Fair Isaac Corporation. You just mad hype. All those Kit Kats didn't do anything for
And he
you.
was singing about the garbage, that's all.
And dancing to a little two-step? What? Yes. What? All right. So. You need one? You got it? So, 5 categories that they calculate, right, with different percentage values to them. 35% payment history, 30% amount owed, 15% length of your credit history, 10% new credit, and 10% credit mix. Now here's the thing. If you take your calculator and you add all of those percentage up, you will find that they all add up to 100, right? So basically what we're saying is 100% of your FICO score, where you get your credit score, is all calculated on debt. How well do you play with it? That's basically what it is. So it's a tricky system that we have created for ourselves, right? But in order for you guys to learn to succeed, you have to know how to navigate it, or else you're gonna go out into the world and it might stifle you, and you might end up in a position where you don't want to be, right? So you have to know how to master it, just like you have to learn how money works and how to operate with it. 35% to your payment history. So this is basically refers to whether an individual pays his credit account on time, right? Are you a person that's going to be over 15 days late, or are you going to pay when they say it's due on the 14th, you pay it, maybe on the 12th. Credit report shows payments submitted and indicates if payments were received 30, 60, 90, 120 or more days late. Now mind you, by the time you reach there, you're already like in collection. You just done a naughty thing for your thing. So we understand what character is, right? When a person has good character, like I could look at you and be like, you are a really nice young man. You're always like speaking up, outstanding, like super smart, like just great things about you, right? And renowned, like everybody else says the same thing, like you're a person of great character, right? We also live in a cancel culture society, right?
No.
Josh? Not today, Josh. So we know that if a person does something like, first of all, it's all caught on tape, right? If a person that you don't like that's outside of your character, like I don't know, for some reason you done slapped the baby. Don't ask me why that came to my head. That's just what you did, right? And no, we don't support that. Like, what? You can't do that. So we just like canceled you. Your character, which was so high in esteem, goes from here to there in a matter of a second. No one knowing anything behind what caused that action or anything like that, right? I bring that up because with your credit, it's like the same thing, right? You could be doing so well all along. You have a great high score. It's up there. You pay your payments on time. You do one thing wrong, and boom, your scores just drop like 20 points, right? And it's just like, wait, what happened?
It's kind of like when like your grade drops. Like it goes down so fast, but it's like so like hard to
bring
bring
it
back
up,
up.
right?
We all start off with A's, right? Like, oh, you are a great student. And it's like maintaining it. You do that one assignment where it's like, we might have not gotten an A on it, and it's just like, wait, what happened, you know? That's exactly what it is. 30% owed. So amount owed refers to the amount of money an individual owes, right? How much do you owe on your cards, right? How much cards do you have out there? And so is card 1 like 1,000, card 3 like 2,000? Like how much do you owe on all of those things? You want to practice when you get into building this thing that society says that you need, right? You want to practice your credit utilization, right? So if you're starting off and you're like, I need to build good credit because they say I need that in order for me to get a good house, I need a good credit score and all this stuff. Credit utilization is a big thing, right? So if you get a card and your first card is, it's not gonna be that much. But if your first card is like $1,000, right? You want to keep it at 30% or less, right? Which means that don't go over using 30% of what the amount limit you have on that card. So if your limit is $10,000, you need to stick within $3,000 or less. Joshua, I can't see your face. I don't know what your eyes are talking to me. Same thing if it's $100,000. It's the same process, right? You want to keep it under 30%. Because they're calculating, okay, well, they're using credit, but they're not dependent on credit, right? You're not using a massive amount of credit. So 15% is your length. The longer an individual has credit card, the better their score is, but it doesn't necessarily mean that a person with shorter won't have a good score either, right? It just means that, okay, so I got my first credit 20, so I've had credit history now for over 15 years. How old am I? 14 years. Forget. So your FICO score, right? FICO scores take into account how long the oldest account has been opened, the age the new account is, and the overall average is what they calculate. Credit mix. This refers to the different types of accounts you have, right? Do you have a little bit of auto loan mixed in with a little bit of credit card, mixed in with a little bit of mortgage, and who knows, maybe some student loans. What's your mix of credit like? Where are you borrowing from? And then new credit. New credit refers to recently opened accounts, right? But you don't want to do too much of this. You can't go into like TJ Maxx, you can't go into Marshalls, I think they're all related. Macy's, you can't go in there and be like, oh, they offer you that 20% if you open a new card and you're like at every single store because you're shopping that day and you're opening cards in all of those stores. That's not okay. Lenders don't like to see a lot of increase in a short period of time. But you're out there seeking too much and you kind of are a bit risky. Credit inquiries roll off your history eventually. Depending on the inquiry, it can take a little bit of time.
What's the credit inquiry?
Inquiries. So, if for instance, you are in the mall and you are at Macy's and they're like, oh, would you like to open this, store credit card and you get 20% off today? Well, what they're going to do is they're going to put all your information, your name, birthday, social, all that good stuff in their system, and their system is going to talk to the credit bureaus to say, oh, their credit score is like, so much or so forth and stuff, and then you're going to get approved or not. That inquiry is reported to the credit bureaus, right? Because they're notified, they're checking their system about it. So they're like, oh, this person is good, they're good borrowers or not. So you get approved or denied based on those inquiries. Too much of those aren't good because they also tend to drop your score. It's such a complicated system, guys. Such a complicated system. So, establishing credit. Whew. So, there's a few ways to start out, to establish credit. You could do a credit builder loan. The sole purpose of this loan is to help build your credit. How does it work? So, you basically apply for the loan. Lender holds on to the loan. You make payments on the loan and it's released when it's paid late, when it's paid in full. So for instance, if Josh decides, you know what, he wants to build credit and he goes over to George and you're like, George, I need like $1,000 to, you know, start establishing credit. I know that you report to one of the credit bureaus, right? So Josh goes over there, he applies for $1,000 credit history, right? But you don't get the $1,000. You don't get the $1,000. You make the payments to George as if you've gotten that $1,000, right? You're paying it down. Now, once you've paid it up, once you've made the payments to it, kind of add up to the $1,000, and you've done good by George, and George's like, wow, thank you, you've made your payments all early in time. Now, here's your $1,000, right? You basically, it's a safe way kind of to establish credit, right? There's no like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Risk.
Risk, yes. With this one. So then there's a secure credit card. For those who are building their credit from scratch, a secure card is backed by cash deposit you make upfront. The deposit amount is usually the same as your credit history, or your credit limit. Cash deposit is used as collateral in case you decide to fail to make payments, right? So for instance, $500. I want a credit limit of $500. I go to an institution that, you know, do this. You probably guys, the last time I said it, haven't heard of Rush Card, right? Rush Card? No? I think so. Anyways, so it's kind of like, you know, however amount you load on, you deposit towards this account, that's what you have to spend. So it's safe because if it's only $500 that you deposited to make payments, you know, to use, that's all you have. You're not going to go over or anything like that. This card is not meant to be used forever. These are our normal credit cards, and we know we all see them in the mail every day, right? Who sees, like, when we get junk mail, Discover, Capital One, like all these right, send it to your parents, like no one wants any more cards. So those are your normal unsecured credit cards. So there's no, you don't have to put any money up front, right? You know, you kind of just use whatever established limit they give you. And you do it, you know, in the realm that they've given you in order to maintain, you know, good credit habits with those. There's also charge cards. This is a card that you have to pay in full every single month. That means that whatever amount you use, right? So if you decide that you're going to go out and you're going to buy 2 new pairs of sneakers and they total $500, you better know that next month when the bill comes, you have to have that $500 up front, ready to pay off. At this card, you have to pay in full every month.
Who's ever heard of the black card? Show of hands. Almost everyone. Who's ever heard of American Express card? Okay. Those are charge cards, right? Which means that you have to pay that bill in full next month, right? So you know, right? American Express cards, there's no limits on those cards either. The only thing with American Express cards, what they do, they track your spending habits. So you, in all honesty, will actually set your own limit. So if you use an American Express card and say you only, the largest amount you've ever put on that card was $5,000, well, theoretically your limit is $5,000. If you ever go over that limit, you may get a call or that transaction may not go through. And then you have to call American Express and say, hey, it's me, allow this to go through. With a black card, you can buy a building with that, right? But obviously you have to show the financial backing that you have in your bank account or your assets before they even give you that type of card.
Yeah, it's not just given out to you.
Oh yeah, you won't just get a black card just because you got a nice credit score. You have to show that you actually have, you know, assets to back up having that card. That's why the more affluent people in society are allowed to have those cards, right? But those are charge cards, which means that you have to pay it off. There is no monthly payments. You got to pay that in full. So if you buy a boat for $150,000 this month, guess what happens next month? Exactly. So be very mindful when you're looking at an unsecured card versus a charge card. Because you may get a charge card and think it's the same as an unsecured card in which you have monthly payments. You don't get monthly payments on a charge card. You got paid at full.
And any you decide you're not gonna pay them full, right? It's basically your daily, it's reported to the link daily, right? So it really crushes your score if you mess up with that one. It doesn't, however, affect your utilization rate, which is at 30%. It doesn't affect that because you're paying it off in full every month. So that doesn't.
Question.
I just wanted to say thank you for having me on the run, but this is really awesome, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And you have my email and
Yep.
sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, have a
Take
great
care.
night.
You too. Be safe.
Thank you.
So fixing your credit, right? So
Hopefully you guys never have to get into
never
this
have to go through
situation.
this. A part of fixing your credit is the first thing we talked about, right? Getting out of debt. Because the moment you start paying off your debt and getting yourself out of that debt, your credit is going to go up, right? It's going to explode to the skies. But if you run, so what you can do, every year you could run your credit for free, right? So your credit report for free. So www.annualcreditreport.com. This basically gives you like a printout of everything that you've been doing credit-wise, right? They let you know. These are all your outstanding debt. These are all your late payments. These are like everything that you need, right? And if you find anything on there, you can dispute it. It's free to do once a year. Chocolate. It ain't helping you.
It's not. I don't know. I jumped. I started closing my eyes and I jumped.
That's the Holy Ghost telling you something.
You do this free. Can do this once a year for free, and it doesn't affect your credit score, right? It's not like a inquiry that might rock it. It's a free report that you can just check on everything that you've done that may not be proper, right? Because sometimes identity theft, people are out there doing things in your name that aren't really you. This is a good place to start with that. Yeah. So find any negative marks, dispute them, right? If you have any late payments on there, those can stay on quite a while. Dispute them. Say, hey, if I pay this off in full, can you take them off my report or anything?
One of the biggest reasons why we teach you guys about credit and also fixing your credit. Granted, you're not at that stage right now, right? But at some point in your life, you will be, as far as establishing credit, right? It's always good to know how to have both ends, right? How to establish credit, how to make your credit good, and also how to, fix your credit if need be. That we're teaching you now. You may not grasp all the concepts that we're teaching you now because it's a lot of information, but you can always go back into your books, right? And if you ever get to any point in your life in which you need to look at this information, because it is not going to change that much from the time you guys, from your age now to the time you become full adults, right? So you can always use this as references, right? And key points to go back to.
Correct. So, so all of these are points that you can, try to dispute with them and rectify on your credit report, so that you can increase your score overall.
Who knows what's a foreclosure? A building, okay, you're getting close. A building.
I just seen off the GTA.
Oh, GTA.
Yeah.
Anyone else know what a foreclosure is or might be?
I wait by building.
Closure, yeah.
I think it's the date, like, you have to pay the building finance, pay for the building, like, when you have the money.
Have the money, yeah. Steph, do you know what a foreclosure is?
don't, tell me, I'm just joking. So, okay, go ahead. So, foreclosure, right? You have a mortgage, however, you've fallen behind on a couple payments, a couple payments, right? It's quite a bit, right? And so what happens is the bank's like, man, it doesn't seem like you're able to hold on to this property anymore. Like, I think I need to take this from you. What happened?
You said GTA to turn off his water bill.
Oh, I need somebody in person, he don't take showers. I love him.
Well, that's a part of it, right? Because if you can't pay your mortgage, you also can't pay water, gas, electricity. So eventually, it's like all of these things, you just eventually turn into like you're kind of squatting in your own house, right? Because they're gonna be like, well, you need to leave that property now because it's no longer yours. You can't make the payments. Any type of solution, right? You have to, work with the bank to say, okay, well, can you sell it to try to get a little bit more? If you can't work any of that out, like they're basically kind of like repossessing the house, like it's a car.
Yeah. So in layman's terms, you owned your house, you couldn't pay for it, they kick you out. And then it goes on a block for it, right?
Yeah.
Layman's terms.
So what you want to do is make sure you pay all late payments, right? Try to negotiate removal of any late payments, ask for payment plans. Look for any inaccuracies and dispute them because like you said, sometimes somebody might get a hold of your information and they're out there doing things in your name that's not really you. So it's good to know these stuff, especially like a major switch in your credit score and you like, wait a second, I've been good, Put everything in writing. You want to make sure that you have the documentation of everything, right? Anything you do. And this is with anything, guys, anything you do in life that you have a problem with in general, right? Put it in writing. Because you want to leave a paper trail, like. Your teacher done said, hey, if you do this extra credit, then your grade is gonna go from this to this and stuff, and you're like, great. So there's something written about that. You do the extra credit, and all of a sudden your grade goes, and it's just like, wait a second, we got a problem now because we had this agreement, right? Tell them to write up the extra credit. Like, oh, can I see that in paper? Write up the extra credit so I can see, so I can make sure that I'm doing everything that's on your checklist for me to get my grade from this D to an A. That smells so good. I got 3 minutes. Collection companies purchase your debts for a penny on the dollars, right? So if you have things in collection, like you can negotiate with them, right? Because they've purchased your credit, they've purchased your debt. If it's gone that far for less than what you have owed. So if you have an old medical bill that's like $1,000, right? They probably purchased that medical bill for like $500. But just know that when they call you for you to pay that bill, they're probably asking for like $1,200, right? Because they're being super greedy. But that's beside the point. You could always negotiate with them and say, hey, well, I don't have that all right now. I have $750. Can you take that from me? Will that satisfy you? If they agree to that, make sure it's in writing. Everything's in writing because you don't want time to go by and then they didn't close out the case file properly and then they're.
Write that down?
No, like a formal letterhead from the company that says, I, collection company ABZ, needs, is collecting $750 to take care of this outstanding debt. And we have agreed to the amount of this amount and so forth. So it's just like they're giving you a final rate.
So how do you ask them to do that? Like you're talking to them and they say, oh,
yeah,
send me a letter or something?
Yes, exactly.
Like that.
Just like that. Letter,
You
email,
come
whatever
to
it
a
is.
conclusion, tell them that conclusion that we just came to, send it to me in writing.
Right.
That's it.
And then the payment will be yours. So accounts and collections stay on your account for 7 years, so you don't ever want it to get that far. If you find yourself ever straining, like, try to go on a payment plan before it ever gets to collection, right? Like that. And a long time. That's a long time. Almost.
So 9 students, why did I think we had 8?
Dispute any errors you find, negotiate to, if you pay the debt
8
off,
boxes
pay or move
with
it from,
fries and wedges.
from my store, right? So that
Somebody's
you-
gonna need this shit.
Okay,
Oh, we had 8 students.
woo.
Page 20, take your 5
Wings are about
question
50
quiz,
wings.
and then after that, you
I got
guys
50
can,
wings, so
okay,
it's plenty
great.
of that.
Go over to after.
You don't wanna go over it?
I ain't gonna blow you up.
Starting in.
No, blow me up.
Oh,
I'm gonna blow you because I got blow.
for this after,
Oh, I'm sorry, man. It's
he always,
she's still over there.
Somebody.
I'm just gonna put the hand sanitizer up there.
No, someone from United Way.
She left.
See that?
Yeah, my daddy was there a few minutes ago.
I got some good news and some bad news.
All right, hit me with the bad first.
We like bad first.
You want the bad one? You want the bad news first?
Yeah.
So, Ms. Rodney here for some reason
That's me.
thought that there were 8 of y'all. So she bought plenty of wings, but the fries boxes were 1 box short. Somebody got
So
shared.
we just be kind.
That's it.
Well, he doesn't eat.
Yeah, I don't eat.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, there you go. That's probably what she.
for once,
What's up?
this works out.
You eating?
Shoot.
Huh?
Yeah.
McDonald's
You
is
ain't
better
too,
than
so you're not
Buffalo
eating
Wild
either?
Wings.
Okay, so
Oh,
I'm
we
feeling
straight
good
then.
right
It's
now.
only good news tonight.
Yeah, I'm feeling
You
good.
get some fries.
I didn't even get a chance to say kind people are my kind of people.
Oh, but what's the good news?
Oh, there's plenty of wings.
Y'all not, listen, y'all not gonna eat at the graduation? Y'all not gonna eat next week?
I don't eat here. I eat next week.
You gonna eat next week? Soul food.
Why don't you eat?
He eats before he cooks.
It's because
I
5:30
still
and
do that, but I
6:30 is too late for you to eat.
I had McDonald's on this.
Oh my
But you
God.
knew you were gonna eat.
Sawdust burgers. The sawdust burgers.
Always, every class he's like, I ate before I came.
Okay, that's all right.
I guess I'll take some wings home.
That means you better run.
I don't know, I need
Yeah,
to
we do.
eat, so.
You eat?
Yeah.
So guess
I
what?
might be partaking with y'all tonight.
It's an extra fry because your 2 kids canceled out. Is
All
there
right.
extra or no?
It's
Yeah,
perfect.
No, it just works out.
It all worked out.
So we all done?
Ladies.
No? No, they're not.
Yes, we're done.
No, not everyone. Why you close your book?
Because we're not going over until after.
March
That was it.
I understand. But you have to close the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's messed up when she start eating.
Oh.
Yeah, we gotta talk.
All right, yeah.
All right, ladies.
It's up there.
All right.
You wanna talk to anybody, G?
Yes, you.
I just need a quick answer. Want to talk to your instructor? Okay. Yeah, I'd love to. They're taking.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not trying to lock down right now. I'm trying to, live my life without having any, type of, chains attached. It'll be all right.
I'm not gonna lie, I get up.
Yeah.
Years, I retired from the police department. I started less than a year ago. So I and
This is a wild.
well, I'll
We're doing a program in Bridgeport. So right now it's Bridgeport. We've done New Haven, so State.
I was looking at your.
I was talking about
and,
I'll talk
section
about
on life insurance. And it sounded to me, because my mom used to be an insurance agent. I worked briefly when I got out of the military, but she worked with Primerica. And it was that same kind of buy term, that's the difference.
Yeah.
So when I was reading your section on insurance, it just kind of like you got.
I actually had a life insurance license and I used to sell it for like a short point. And what they were charging for a whole life versus, oh my God. It's like, I have a whole new mortgage just for my life insurance. It was just ridiculous.
We used to tell people to take their cash value out and use
what's
that to
wrong?
purchase
Just
a
sit it right there.
policy and then just let the whole life.
Wait, what is yours?
Right here, no more.
Yeah.
But you're right, term is absolutely the way to go.
I got a water for you too, come here.
So, what would you be looking to like do? Is it would be for youngers or adults or?
I don't really know. I just look
I love Buffalo Wild Wings fries.
That's what you're doing with kids.
So,
Oh,
yeah, but we vaccinated,
partner
right?
organizations,
Yeah, both of
support organizations that are doing good work. And I think this is a support, situation where.
Wait, what were you gonna tell me?
We just kind of see what they're doing here.
What happened here?
Okay.
Try to figure out.
I turned it to.
I'm pretty good over here. Alright, what?
And I was bringing it to there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't do fast. I not over damn do it over the nose.
Well, we have to do
What? Oh my gosh.
not through, so right here, this is, real estate, which is a four-partner. And then we have our C3, which is our generation legacy. Been around, for about 3 to 4 years now.
What is it? You wait until I
Obviously with Warren, because we've just been, we actually started partnering with Warren before we had our nonprofit.
It's fine, except for some. They just gave me a stuff.
But yeah, we do have a nonprofit.
Don't be
We normally
dumb.
serve around
Don't be dumb.
Hartford County area, but that's where we're from, and we want to get back to that community. So, but I mean, we're open to serving other communities, honestly.
So, yeah.
And maybe since you are in other communities, maybe we can talk about what you're doing elsewhere as well. And we can see what we can do.
Oh,
Especially on the street.
You know what? It's fun, right? Before I came here, we had some medical residents from this hospital just before. And one of the residents asked me if we were doing anything with recent releases from DOC. And we don't.
Because you like you done with it.
Yeah.
Tell me who's on.
Well, university is doing
Right.
DOC, and there are a lot of inmates that are graduating. Some don't, but to deal with crazy degree.
so
Making mistakes.
one of the things that we're actually, we're gonna set up, I'm sorry, I ran out of my cards, but this is her
I don't even
card.
text it. I don't
One of
even
the things
think
that we're working with, one of the unions in Enfield.
FaceTime, right? Only FaceTime when I'm playing the game.
And,
Would you like a cartoon? I know you have
Oh, no,
okay.
so the correctional, so what they want us to do is actually, when they, finish training their, COs,
It's in the bag.
for us to
Right
go
there.
and
That's what they do.
provide a financial application to the COs, because what they're finding out is that a lot of the COs, they make decent money because of overtime and stuff, but they don't have anything set up outside of what the union has set up for them. And so they're like, this is a huge, exactly. So they want us to come in and provide, after they graduate, kind of provide like a course like this for the inmates, so, I mean, for the COs. So it's crazy how it comes full circle, because we're doing the inmates, right? And now we're training the COs as well. So it's just like, yeah.
You're so right. Good times.
Yeah.
You may never have to do this, but should you avoid them in any way, never give them. See, I put her name on it.
Yeah, it's hers.
I should have wrote not in the seat.
Listen, I saw her.
That's the day after.
But yeah, no. And here,
I told me in the room
just
today.
shouting out more into the high heavens.
What I do?
Exactly. What you?
What happened?
Sure. But yeah. Yeah, it's taking off. You know, we started this about 10 years ago, and the amount of lack of knowledge when it comes to financial literacy education within the Black and Brown community was just overwhelming for us. We're like, in high school, we were taught, even all classes like cooking and mechanical, and those classes, they help you become a more well-rounded person. But do I need to know how to fix my No, I don't.
Hey, somebody,
Exactly. So it's just like.
It's a difference between. Okay, yeah, 10% because you just keep posting on Facebook. My grandparents.
I have a master's in business.
No, not me
And
eating.
throughout all
They
these
call me
courses,
that all the time.
they never once taught me how to about personal finance.
they never
At
even
all.
went into debt like that.
Oh no, they
What
didn't
is
go
it
into
about
that.
interest?
Alright, listen, Paul's doing it.
But I took calculus. And wanted to take analysis.
How they gonna real know it?
They have so much information at their fingertips. Like, I'm in my early 50s, and I think back to when I talking about JC Penney, right?
Yep.
How did I pay my bill back then?
Yeah.
Right? Now you just on your phone and you pay it.
Yeah.
And you
today.
see the next payment. So then the bill came to you.
Yep.
And you have to either go there,
Yep.
or write a check.
Mhm.
And then if you write a check, what happens when you write a check? Like, when does this money come out?
Correct.
Oh, I might put Brown's keep on money.
Mhm.
Like, there's a bunch of things
Yep.
that cause problems that I didn't know about.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And today, you can just write in there, and payment just came out.
Set up your bank account, just hit pay, it literally comes out your bank account within 24 hours. Your bill is paid. So, it's funny that you mentioned that because I remember like on the weekends we would go to the mall or to JC Penney and with my mom and stuff like that, and that's where they would literally pay your bill at the counter. Her mom
Josh, remember that watch your mouth.
Listen, it was
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were about to tell something.
At the beginning.
That you what? That we have to start class with.
Oh, yeah, we about to, but I'm about to eat first.
Holy Spirit.
Halloween.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Holy Spirit, activate.
Make sure you share mine.
What is this?
It's fries.
Oh, yep, all this is mine. Oh, you said to share you something?
Wow.
Holy Spirit, activate.
That other hand worked first time.
You're right.
You're getting your own food.
Nah, you know.
Tell him.
When you said that other hand work, you know what you meant.
No, 2 hands.
Nah, she said that other hand work. You better. Your sister was like, that other hand work. Put her in check. I'm like, what? That's what you said.
Didn't say that.
In your mind, you was thinking,
No.
You got 2 hands. That's one more than you do. That's the law.
this is a strong hand. You ever seen a scary movie? It's my strong hand.
Yeah.
It's my strong hand.
Here.
Who's next?
You're done.
You're done.
You're done.
You're done. Sit down.
What is this? Is this barbecue then?
Only part of
Everybody be saying Alabama. Shut up.
I haven't heard that word.
W cuts. Like, what are you talking about?
Bro, this is me.
It must have been a while since that happened. Could you read that?
Makes it
I haven't
really
had
sweet.
curry. Oh man.
I've been
You
here
want
from
that,
Martin.
but-
From Martin, that, Drew, like all of them.
Right. I've been there tonight. Y'all agree.
Yeah.
That was like
You already have one or something?
when we met Scrappy man.
He
I
wants-
started
he
taking
wants
over
that.
the
He
zero.
followed me on two different.
Because Scrappy was my trophy hunter.
He followed me on a Tuesday. He commented 13 times.
Holy Spirit, activate.
I posted like two.
I haven't touched him so long. I need to.
Basketball?
I forgot what game I saw on that.
He has an account where.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
What?
No, you're not.
No, somewhere.
I'm just not sorry.
Him, COVID. They love the water down
I
there.
know.
I just.
What's your name?
Off of that
That's your
section.
name.
I know, man. I'm about to.
I just saw off of somebody's picture.
I'm about to.
I've seen them before. You tell them that. You tell them, come text me. What you say?
I want to do it again so bad.
Okay.
How you get more fries than me?
Dang. Our world.
Right?
If you would have got your own fries, maybe you would have more.
Cold world.
Really? Thought I gave you a one.
Where is it?
Up there, you just left it.
No. Teddy left it.
What's your trouble with them khakis? In a front row seat.
He still got a point.
Nah, so y'all just got something or something?
That's
That's the tie.
Is your jersey number?
Now I got Nelly earlier with the pickle, boy. Oh,
That's
See
Jackie
what-
Fire.
Oh.
leave him alone, boy.
Don't say that.
It's not. It's just boy. It's a loose
You couldn't get me a nap.
I used to have a pet. I changed it because nobody used to go. Now everybody goes, so now I got it again. Nobody started going, so I can't sit it, now everybody goes.
You gotta go up there on a good day. Monday.
A good day is every day, literally. Especially now that it's getting cold outside, they have to go to the water.
You can play one-on-one game.
What y'all doing tomorrow? Y'all got school?
No. I'm going to that football game. We'll be ready.
Not everyone celebrates it.
At 6. Because it's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm trying to find people there. Y'all want to see shots again? Like,
No, we tried y'all last week. Like 42 to.
No, that was not fair.
Half of our starters were hurt.
Holy Cross is just known to win.
Half of our starters were hurt.
No, they be recruiting.
like, yeah, they
We all
really
had
do.
4 freshmen starting.
Bro, all their recruits are on steroids. I don't care. I said what I said.
We have.
And our star quarterback is hurt. Like,
I'm at it.
I'm going to pass the 32.
I know.
Oh, I forgot you go.
You said quarterback or cornerback?
ACK.
Quarterback.
quarter.
Defense or offense?
ACK.
We took ya. How?
Hey.
I don't know.
Hey.
Oh, quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
You guys want to volleyball, right?
Yeah, we lost the first time. We came back and beat them.
I don't know how to.
Y'all's not as good as.
What?
No, they just didn't get it.
Oh.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Did y'all lose?
Not the only.
Yeah.
I heard y'all got sprayed.
Oh,
Bro, it was like,
You guys still
we could have
safe?
won because I'm not even gonna hold you, they were worse than your school.
Uh-huh.
And it was more nerves. I feel like it was because our first time going to the States and everything like that. Like, we never been before. So, yeah.
So you're where you are.
It's like knockout tournament.
So that's how basketball is. No, last time No, never mind.
Anyways, HCK, so what I said.
I was playing boy, man. You ready?
Right. HCK.
I just put the shot right back.
So what I said.
I can't wait.
Holy Cross.
I can't wait till some of the juniors leave.
We gonna keep that air branded.
Holy Cross.
But they're gonna recruit somebody from like
I
what?
love
Europe,
that.
like
No, okay, but once Kayla and all them go,
then
they
there comes.
okay, but
what's
still.
her name? Shania's coming right after her. Like, bro,
Who's
they
Kayla?
already have her.
Kayla's still, she's better than her sister, obviously.
Obviously, but Shania's not trash.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. Kayla's
You're
sister.
not understanding.
No, no,
They
no.
have a fail-safe plan for everything. Like, you're not understanding.
Yeah, we know, because Margaret's little.
Like, y'all love to
so.
shake out here. Oh my God. If I get actual because I'm going.
What?
Yes, I will.
Nuh-uh.
You wanna?
They can recruit everybody
Yeah,
and
they
their
do.
mother, and that and I left too.
Not even like.
Yeah, I would never.
Highest potential, like having her sit, like that's actually.
Because they had too many people that. Too many
And
people.
plus, they play
You
the
see how
older
big
ones
the
all the
3B
time.
team is? My dad would not
It's
bring me
basically just like age.
My dad wouldn't bring me to a game if I didn't get it.
So,
I would never. I'm
I'm
sorry, Margaret.
Bro, she was trying so hard to get me.
Wait, so wait,
And you were about to go.
I was.
Did we beat you?
You would have been tight.
y'all only be
No, but we got.
ninth and eighth grade.
I'll be playing
I know
against you.
two.
Yep. Yeah, well, she put that on God, that is just a physical sport.
No, she. I remember another thing somebody bringing at her. Another
I always put my hand on somebody. I have to, like, everything, like,
I'm
I
the
put one hand on somebody.
Our whole AU team.
I took mine, like, right after you layup, and then
It's like you were just playing just like playing, like we stay together.
like, oh my
But
God.
it's only our guards that actually.
Well, now.
So I had to play this one.
Why are you so mad?
I don't think he scored. I can't get to it. And then when I was there, he didn't score once. But
Angry. I'm angry.
I ain't mad.
actually, he was the only one that was there.
I'm not saying.
He was, he,
It looks like you're doing good, but.
he just started.
Why is Jerry calling?
What?
Because I don't know what the problem is.
That's probably why. You know you're on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get
Jerry, I'm gonna come take it home, okay?
He was getting mad, yeah.
Me and Elliot. Bro, we're busy. What are you talking about? We're in class.
I think I called the other day. It was me, you, and Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, I will.
You want it?
Okay. Okay.
No, every say the wild, but I want to think this way.
Okay. Keep going. Wait, oh, that's the boy. That's Chris. Oh my God. Get in my phone. Manager. Okay.
I was good to get dunked on.
Yeah.
Dunk?
With you, I like the way.
Mama away.
That boy can touch him at 13 years old. Who else can do
I
that?
was trying.
I said, oh, and on Crosby.
My touchy needs tab. Like.
No, so what was the table?
Yeah. The boss.
I chopped it out. You lost it. You lost it.
Oh, no. Wait, what?
Hey, when y'all in your class at school, does anybody ever ask y'all what you think about the teachers? Nah.
That's gonna at our school?
No.
We just take surveys.
We take surveys.
You take surveys?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
anonymous.
Anonymous, you take them
Well,
online?
No, they know who we are.
No, like we take them online. They know our names. It's just the teachers don't ask us themselves.
the school when you do it?
I take them on the computer.
Hey, on the computer, so they don't know who it is.
Well,
They do, because
They
they
do.
email.
but yeah,
Your school emails connected.
but they don't tell the teachers like what we say and stuff.
I got you.
Well, it's not really a specific teacher, it's just in general.
In general?
They're talking about a big old meeting, and they talk about what everybody said.
And they actually
Oh,
look
so they
like,
have all of the data. but they
Yeah.
don't know who's-
and they actually like what you think about the
Doesn't
class
seem
and
fair.
stuff like that.
So they don't see if I'm not about to bash a teacher that I don't like, and then, no. I said it should be,
Wait.
I said I won't,
Why would they do that?
I don't wanna go back to
huh?
that.
Because I say something mean now, yeah. Cause I don't like some of my teachers.
Yeah, but
Oh my god. They ever asked me about Kill Chocolate, but I swear I'm gonna get her fired. She's so
Yeah. They asked me about
She's
this
so
dark
good.
I swear. We don't let her, she got a little attitude. You know what
Some of
about
these
her?
teachers, like, they really don't care. Like, they'll argue with a student.
Yeah,
It's
she
like,
be arguing with me.
I get like the students from
A lot of problems.
some of these teachers, like, they're really like.
I be telling her, I go, like, Lady, don't argue. You saw how I go, I tell her, I go, don't argue.
That's just something
I
that
guess you still argue with
you just
me.
wanna
She be like, she be
play.
giving me attitude. And the other kids notice it too. Like, she'll say something snarky. And I'll be sitting there. And they'll turn around and look at me. I be like, girl, you're like mad old. Like, don't make me get up. I mean, in my head, I'm like, please don't make me get up from this chair. Like, Holy Spirit, activate. Cause I be so close. I'm like, I gotta go. Lucky I gotta go home after school. It would be back to like, God.
There's this teacher I have, and she's like, literally, it's like 3 students from each one of her classes. I don't know how she did that. But this is girl in my class, like, she literally bullies her. The whole class seen it. And then yesterday, like, she just always, like, on that one person. And then yesterday she sent her to the office. It was the whole bunch. And then she told a lie in front of the whole class. Literally, when she said, we were doing her work, she said it, the whole class looked up, and then we just looked back to doing her work. Like, we were like,
On the first Wednesday in the morning.
But it is like, even that boy that's in front of me. My teacher, like, I'm not putting racist on nobody, but I feel kind of targeted. So she's in the bathroom with the door closed. She can see through the doors though, because she's trying to another student.
Oh, you drive?
The light-skinned boy gets up because he sees me eating a snack, and he asked me for something, and I said no. So he got up and grabbed my arm and started shaking me. He was like, "Come on, just give me some food." And I was like, "Aiden, I'm not playing. Stop touching me."
oh, Aiden?
Yes, and then he sat back down.
You know, Aiden's such a foodie.
She had cake in the room, and Aiden saw her, so he ran back to her seat. She was like, "Everybody, no, people, and if you touch anybody, people refrain from touching people." Like, girl, address him and tell him to keep his hands off me, first of all. But she didn't do that. So she's talking to this person next to me, and I'm sitting down, and I'm touching my friend's laptop case. He doesn't care. I do it like every day because it's interesting. And she's like, she literally turned around to look at me. It was quiet. She literally turned around and looked at me. She was like, "You're disrupting people." I was like, "What am I doing?" I was like, "I didn't even say anything." She was like, "Because you're touching. I was like, "Girl." I was like, so then she texted my dad. Had the nerve to text my dad and tell him I was very disruptive and I'm always on my phone. Now I might talk a lot, but I was never on my phone in that class. So I went to school next day and I asked Aiden. I was like, "Did she text your mom and tell her that you were touching me and shaking me?" No. Okay.
There's this one teacher I have.
About to be a fight.
Her name is, like, Miss Thomas, like, so.
Oh, I love her.
She wants to know, like, she's a good teacher.
She's sarcastic.
No, but she thinks that she's so funny.
She is.
And sometimes the joke is like, oh, a little chuckle, but it's never that serious. So sometimes, like, she's always calling me out without actually calling me out. Like, I would be saying, so one time I was falling asleep in class, right? And then I was just so tired, and she was just talking. And then I was falling asleep. She was like, "Okay, I can see this. If you guys are falling asleep, so I'm gonna let you guys start this assignment."
All right, clean up your area. About to get started.
I put up an assignment to, like, we weren't supposed to be working on it. I just had to see, like, what it is. Like, she was like, "This is me, this is the row, and this is the row." She's walking by like this, that way, comes back around, and she sees me open the assignment. She goes, "Guys, we're not supposed to be working on da 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 da, right?" I'm like, "Why do you always do that?" It's like, the 500 times that she's done that, I'm like, you know what?
They be messing with y'all.
I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
Oh,
She has this
my
old sarcastic voice, like, what are you doing?
And my dad, when he got the message, of course he read it out loud to me. So I'm sitting down in the car because he trapped me. He waited when he came and picked me up from the Y. It took a long way once I trapped me. And he was like, so he read the message out loud. I was like, Dad, does any other teacher tell you something bad about me? No. So why is this one lady picking with me? I don't know.
You said, what's that tell you?
Like,
I'm good everywhere.
Appreciate you.
but for some reason, it's always something on the other side.
Damn.
That's what
That's big.
I told you I was trying to do it big.
Y'all gonna get to tell them how you feel about them.
Tell me how you really feel.
You gonna write it down, right? Okay, they'll give it to you after.
Oh, I feel about Mr. Reed.
Anyways, we've all come to the conclusion that water being.
Wait, I get to tell him how I feel about him.
just a little bit.
Yep.
I'm a joke on him, that's how I feel.
You gonna dunk on them?
Realistic.
Are they
No.
I asked you to be outside.
And at the end of the message, it said
No,
Kim was a great student and I love her. Girl, come on.
You want me to tell you what Lindley did?
Come on.
So one time we have to write this essay like every marking period. Then, so I messed up a part of the essay. She's gonna go, Kendra. I just feel like this is you're like.
She's saying next week.
Yeah,
Yeah, you see, you should have talked to her before me.
Yeah, I knew better.
Yeah, my bad.
I actually did talk to her first.
What'd she say?
She said next week.
So why you asked me?
Because I couldn't give them the print before, and then it came out of the printer.
Back to it.
All right.
Page 40, let's go over these answers. Who had number one? Thank you. Go ahead.
What is a good credit? I put 700 to 745.
That's correct.
Oh, I put 750 plus. We wouldn't be wrong.
Josh.
That's excellent.
Josh, my main man. What's number 2?
50%.
Oh, you know the rules.
What percent of FICA course calculator source debt? I said percent.
Anyone have anything different?
100% and total.
Exactly. It's 100%.
I thought
I had no answer.
Yeah, because it wasn't in the book. Usually it's trying to search.
Spoke it.
Close, but it's 100. C. Who wants number 3?
I do.
Jack.
Is a credit card a form of debt? Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, good. Number 4. Hold on. We got number 4.
One mic.
I think y'all talking.
Payment history. Anyone have anything different?
Nope.
Good. That is correct. And last but not least, we on number 5, right?
Cinco.
Number 5. You said you wanted to do it?
I already did it.
Oh. Who wants number 5?
Petra said she wanted to do it because she was going to take the test, so let's see.
I did.
Oh, I thought Jen was.
She just read it. I took it.
Oh, okay.
But I put
Wait, what's the
A. Oh, it says what is the great method to get out of debt? I put A. That roll over.
Good. That's correct.
A is correct. Awesome sauce. Flip the page.
All right.
No, not
I
really.
got one more you just said.
That's good. And that's a tricky one, the one that you got wrong. A lot of people got that wrong. All right. What time is it? What time we got?
7:03.
All right. We about to do this? Oh, now you, yeah, got it.
I just put my water and I had some Sprite.
I believe you.
Where'd
No, wait.
you score?
You ain't even eat. What you in the bathroom for?
I always be able to get up. Like when I'm in school, I just be asking to go to the bathroom just to go.
Yo, if y'all need to get up and walk, y'all can get up and walk around the class. All right, y'all ready?
In general, I can't sit still.
We good? We ready?
We're gonna fly through these last 2 lessons.
All right, so your financial traps. Learning takeaways is predatory lending, overdraft fees, no money down, debt collector / collection, timeshare. So these are the things we're going to cover. Financial traps overview. So while you're on your financial journey towards your freedom of success, there may be obstacles. Our goal is to equip you with the knowledge and understanding of these obstacles, so you know how to avoid them or how to get them. The financial obstacles you should avoid are predatory lending, let's write this down, overdraft fees, no money down gimmicks, timeshares, and debt collectors.
We want to stay out of their path, all these things pathways, right? We want to set up our lives so in such a way that we're never introduced to these to begin with, right? No predatory lending, no overdraft fees, no money down gimmicks, no timeshares, no debt collectors do we want in our life. Yes.
My mom, before you go into the park, and it's like listening to this spin wheel for like a raffle, so she spent it and she won this timeshare thing. And for like 1 year, we went on like a vacation to like, not for the whole year, but like during the time up here, to like this Holiday Inn timeshare thing, and she said that we can't go anymore, and I didn't know like why, but now you said it was bad. Or it ended up being bad.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
So be like, Mommy, I know what you did. You didn't know like that.
Stop inappropriate.
No, that's how they do it. That's how Kevin Hart did it.
Yeah.
Right? Kevin Hart. Like, Kevin, I want you to tell this to your teacher.
Oh my God.
Oh, yo, I know that. I know that.
Yeah, see, everybody knows. All right, so now let's take a look deeper into these. Predatory lending. Predatory lending is defined as the practice of giving loans with high interest rates to borrowers with bad to no credit. Who listens to the radio?
Me.
You ever heard those commercials like, no credit, bad credit, forget it. We don't care.
Yeah.
Come down, we'll put you in a new Nissan Maxima
Yes,
or whatever Altima. You can drive it off the lot. All you need to do is show a pay stub. You go down there, and they're going to take your money. Because what they're telling you in this statement, right, that radio commercial, is that we know you guys have bad credit. And this is your only option to come to us to get a car. And when you come to us to get that car, we're going to charge you so much high interest rates that you can literally by the time you finish paying off that vehicle, you could have bought a Maserati. Because that vehicle that you purchased, they hit you with super high interest rates. And they know you can't afford not to buy a car, especially if you need it. So those, stay away from. Those places, stay away from them. So payday, and then, all right, so that's predatory lending. Payday loans is a type of predatory lending. The loan, on average, according to the Center of Responsible Lending, carries a 391 APR. Steph told you earlier about APR of like 24% being high. Is 24 bigger than 391?
No.
Exactly. 391 is huge. And a payday loan will do that. And so payday lenders are strategically located in low-income neighborhoods. That's a big whoopee right there. Payday loan stores reap billions of dollars on interest. Interest. That means that the money you pay back to them on top of the money you borrow is what they're profiting on, and they make billions of dollars a year. And interest and fees on a product designed to force borrowers into repeat loan. So what a payday loan is it sounds like. You go to your house, right? Or your apartment, and the landlord hits you with a bill because you got paid your rent. You look at your check is only $500, but your rent is $900. So you're like, man, I'm gonna cover this. I need a place to live. So you decide to go to a payday lender. The payday lender says, oh yeah, we'll give you that money. No problem. They give you that money. But your next paycheck, and that's why it's called a payday lender, they want you to pay that loan back. Let me ask you a question. If you didn't have the money, that paycheck, to pay your rent, and to the fact that you had to borrow that money, do you think by the next paycheck you're going to have the money? And by the next paycheck, you're going to have to do what? You're going to have to give all that money back to them. But you need groceries, right? You need to put gas in your vehicle, right? You need a lot of different things that paycheck that's coming to you, you're going to use for it. But you can't, because you have to pay the payday lenders back. Plus interest. Now, you can't afford it. So what do you have to do? the average borrower takes out 4 to 5 payday loans. So you gotta take out another payday loan to pay the payday loan that you couldn't pay off.
It's a vicious
And you see the cycle? And yo, you know what crazy is that it's funny, but these people do that. They take out 5 to 6 payday loans just to try to get caught up, and they never get caught up. Common characteristic traits of payday borrowers are, drum roll please. Boom! Look at that. You see that? Like,
That was racist.
African Americans.
That was very racist.
Do you see
Black.
matter?
Oh, there's gonna be more. African Americans. They are renters. They do not have a 4-year college degree. So they're trying to go after people that they think are not intelligent.
But aren't they not intelligent?
They are separated or divorced, which means that it's a single family household. Right? Normally in a single family household, it's a lot of financial troubles within that household, right? Because there's only one income. Unless daddy pays child support.
My daddy.
So while y'all writing this down, I got a call.
I was about to say, very rare.
I got a call. Because you know I work for the state and whatnot, right? So I got a call and this lady was on the phone. She was like, I don't think I got my stimulus check. And I was like, well, you know, stimulus checks, it's free money from the government. So they normally don't, take that money for you, right? Even if you owe child support or alimony and stuff like that. And she was like, yeah. She was like, no, I'm good on child support. I'll be paying it every month. I said, I'm like, wait. You're paying child support? She said, yeah, because she's the breadwinner. And it seemed like, and I didn't.
So the dad got full cuts?
Listen, but I didn't get into any details on it. But if I had to be a guessing man, she was in a female-to-female relationship, and they had an adopted kid or however the kid came about, and they were married. And I guess when she separated, because she was the breadwinner and the kid was with the other mommy, she has to pay the child. That's what I'm thinking.
That's if he was a guessing man.
If I was a guessing, but it could literally be that.
Dad be
The dad could have the baby. Yeah. I mean, that's rarely happened.
Like she could have went to jail, came back. Like,
she could
have had some drug stuff. Or
that's true, but for her to be the breadwinner to pay child support.
What are you trying to say?
She
can't be the breadwinner.
No. What I'm saying is, she had to make more money than him. Now, but listen, if she's making more money than him, how did he get the kid? Because they look at all that information. So we don't know, because I didn't go into, but there's other factors, right? They would never really take the kid away from the mom unless, like, it's something huge, jail or substance abuse. But even, listen, the females, you have a lot of rights when it comes to
that baby came out of me.
Because I've been carrying it for 10 months.
Exactly. I
10 months. It's 9 months in a couple days. How's it 10?
3. I carry 3.
They don't talk about the early stages of conception.
Yeah, so back to this ain't anatomy class.
Where you don't know who's pregnant yet.
And lastly, phones down. I'm still in class. Lastly, they earn less than $40,000 a year. So these are the traits. Huh?
There's one more space.
Oh, second to last thing. And then most take out on average, I said 6, but on average, 8 loans. That's a lot of loans.
A lot of debt.
Yeah, say that again. A lot of debt. Most take out on average 8 loans. This is a vicious cycle. Most on average take out 8 loans. Most take out, you could just put 8 loans on average. All right. Payday loans, again, this is scary. It's a financial debt trap. Payday loans are a debt trap by design and leads to a cascade of other financial consequences, such as increased overdraft fees and even bankruptcy. Oh yeah. This is scary. They are intended to give you a quick financial relief due to an emergency or lack of funds to cover a bill, but this is why it's important to have a budget and save. Long story short, ever. Ever. Loans.
You serious?
Hey, y'all ever heard the commercial? J.G. Wentworth.
Hey,
yeah. Don't do that. That payday look. Don't do that. There's a catchy look, right? And you be like, oh, no, don't do that. No. Y'all all know the song. Y'all know the numbers and everything. Then you have the opposite on the bus and everything. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Like the Vikings on the subway.
Yeah, all of that. The Vikings. Yep. Don't do it.
They know how to get it in your head because they're like, oh.
Who knows what an overdraft fee is?
Sometimes you're like, you used to get it.
I'm forgetting that. Not the positive.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anybody else?
Who's gonna read fast? I'm reading. A person when I withdraw from an individual big account exceeds the minimum balance.
See, I think you said a word that wasn't even on there. All right, so overdraft fee. This occurs when you withdraw from an individual's account exceeds their available balance. Means if you got $5 in your bank account and you use your debit card and you spend $10, you just overdraft by how much?
$5.
By $5. So they're gonna hit you with, you gotta pay that $5 back, and then on top of that, because you only overdraft $5, they're gonna hit you with a $35 overdraft fee. So just for overdrafting $5, you gotta pay $40 back. $35 in a fee, and then the $5 you overdraft. So overdraft fees are triggered by debt card point of sale or POS, debit card point of sale, which is called POS, point of sale, POS, transactions, ATM withdrawals, electronic bill payments, and paper checks. These can all overdraft your account. But again, the major thing here is if you don't have the money in your account and you spend over the money that you have in your account, you will get an overdraft fee. And you got to pay the money back that you overdraft.
And you gotta pay it back.
Yeah, that sucks. Can you imagine? You go on a date with little shorty, little shorty. And you go to a nice little restaurant, Taco Bell, you know what I mean? Right? And you said, and she ordered the Biggie Pack, you're like, man, you can eat, but you're not gonna say that out loud. Right? And then
I'm so scared to eat messy on the date. Like, oh my God.
And then they hit you with the bill. Because it's a fancy Taco Bell. So they come over with the bill. You don't pay at the cash register. And then they say, is this going to be check or cash? Charge or cash? And you pull out your little new debit card.
And then they can decline.
And then you go charge it. See it. And they take it back and they come back to you and say, here you go, sir. It didn't get declined. But you know in the back of your mind that you only had $3.15 in your account. But you trying to be Mr. Ballin'. Because you got a little shorty, right? And but and the bill was like $30. You were like, how this pass?
How?
Most debit card payments, even if you don't have the money in your account, they will allow that overdraft to happen.
Unless you set up something specific.
Unless, yes.
With the bank. Right? So I know y'all got debit cards, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you have overdraft protection on
And
your
a credit card. I think I have.
I'm using my dad's card.
You ain't got no credit card.
I don't know what it is. I know we've been through this.
I got a Cash App card.
Oh no.
It's my blind card. But you just
See
at the bottom, right?
I have
Yeah, so again, there's a lot of transaction to happen, right, if you don't put any measures in place because they don't want the transaction not to go through. And then you're going to look like a fool because you can't pay for Shorty's meal, she got to pay for your meal, and now,
She's like, I ain't talking to him no more because he can't take it.
All right, this is a financial debt trap because you can quickly accumulate hundreds of dollars that must be paid back. And your bank could literally drop. You know how embarrassing it is for your bank, which is in a sense a free institution, to drop you because you owe them money? Hey, and the thing about it, if you owe that bank money,
but they're gonna drop you because you owe that money, so they ain't getting their money back.
Banks, they make billions of dollars a year. You
They
think
might
they care about that money?
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. But guess what? It's gonna affect you because if that bank drops you, unless you pay them back, no other bank in this country is gonna accept you.
So they tell each other?
Yeah,
They all connected.
they all.
There's that big
Chanel corporate.
And they're gonna report it to the credit bureaus like, yo, this person does not pay their bank account. Like, what? Like, that's crazy. Alright, overdraft fees. Let's get some perspective, and we spoke about this already.
35.
What?
Right here.
Oh.
No, it's not. 35.
No money down. Who's ever heard of that?
Me?
Like, you don't have to put any money down on a product right now, and then in, say, 36 months, you have until 36 months to pay them. So you can legit go into, say, Best Buy. Who's heard of Best Buy? And buy a large screen TV that's like $3,000 entertainment system, and you don't have to pay for it right then and there.
Yeah.
But they'll send you monthly bills every single month.
That's like what's that? That's like running.
Layaway is different. Layaway is a great thing, and I would suggest if any store offers layaway and you don't have the money,
Which not many do nowadays.
and you don't have the money to pay for that product outright, do layaway, because what layaway allows you to do is put down payments on that product until you pay it off in full, and then they'll give it to you. But stores do this. They offer you a store charge card, and then you can buy that purchase on that card, and then have to pay that card back plus interest. So if that purchase only costs you, say, the $3,000, after you finish paying that off, it's probably going to cost you, you don't pay like $3,250, right? So you pay $250 more because you charged it. So again, when you hear no money down, often it is the term of purchasing a house or even a car. When you get into a no money down gimmick, you often pay the price in the long run. Because what they're banking on is for you not to pay that off within the term they give you. So for instance, you buy that $3,000 TV set, they said you have 36 months to pay it off, and they won't charge you, say, any interest. But the minute that 37th month comes and you didn't pay off that balance, all that interest, they didn't charge you because you didn't do it in the term that they set. And these people are smart. They have computer systems that show that the average person will not pay this off in the time that we gave them. So it's almost like a gamble. And the house always wins. Why is this bad? Oftentimes, the terms of the deal are horrible, completely not in your favor. Horrible. That's how they say it in Spanish. Yes, it is. I'm bilingual. You better calm your nerves.
No, hold on, wait. Was that right?
What?
No.
It is horrible.
No, because I'm pretty sure in that show, it was like that. I thought it was right.
What?
I don't know.
What the heck?
I'm a Spanish.
Really,
Spanish?
I said Spanish
What does that
last
say?
year, I forgot it all.
Y'all don't see I'm right. I don't even know why y'all even undermine me. Like, I'm the best.
For what?
I'm always right. The down payment is financed into the price you're paying. Part two.
Yeah, you were right.
Part two.
I was right.
Part two, the down payment is fine. So even if they say,
What's the part? No. What are they called?
Josh, you got a lot to write.
Listen, what are they called? Stop it. Chandler, stop it. What are they
favors,
Like that, you already increased.
this favors the seller, so buyer beware.
I didn't hear anything. Oh, you gotta just say, okay.
You lucky, ma.
Oh, you're not doing them early.
You got
You got all three of those written down?
Yeah.
Wait, now.
Yeah. At least you admit it.
Okay, Josh.
I'll do everything you want. Are you gonna just say, okay?
And lastly is favors the seller, so buyer beware.
Read the fine print.
Yes.
Wait, if you know when you're talking about like You gotta like,
Did you finish writing that?
describe your teacher or something.
Mhm.
I was trying to say you're a bad teacher. What would you do?
That's fine. I mean, it's your opinion.
I'll just be lying.
I wanna say something bad.
Say it
Now,
I mean,
if you would say,
Go ahead. Looks exactly like.
convent.
That's what.
I
Oh,
comment.
I said constant.
All right,
I
so
know which one.
I ain't gonna let her finish, right?
bring it back. Y'all was short, now bring it back. All right, so this is used to lure you into a deal you cannot truly afford. So be careful of these transactions. Always do your homework. All right, so debt collections we spoke about. So debt collections is the process of purchasing payments of debts owed by individuals or businesses. So I'm not going to go into this because we spoke about this in full detail when Steph did credit.
Yes.
Miss Reed, Mrs. Reed.
You better stop it.
Right.
I had a whole step.
You'll be hurt once again.
Yeah,
Remember I couldn't.
I have that issue with her all the time.
No, I kept getting thrown off by your two names.
Oh, Lily?
Oh.
And I was like, well, who is that?
That's her maiden name. But I mean, listen, she might go back to it.
Oh,
Stop lying.
really?
he just
He lying. He gonna be like, I'm sorry, baby, when he please forgive me. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was just to be. Wait
Y'all didn't finish that?
Y'all figuring child support into your budget? Oh my God.
All the conversations be wild.
See, why does it go all the way back?
Because he played
it too many times.
He's a quick video.
Next. You going.
Tell me how you're gonna have me standing out in that cold. And he told us that we had to wear a school shirt for drum line. I'm not wearing no school shirt. Like, he was like, he said you guys have to wear a WCA shirt. Like, sir.
Oh,
Well,
where y'all
you better
standing?
what? Where your hoodie? Where your
26?
I'm wearing my Nike. I'm playing for
You
the.
put a full-
Oh, we're having one of
Okay.
those.
We're playing for now. Just hope.
I'd be angry down my.
Oh, I'm going. What is it?
It's next. It's next week.
I wanna be on the right side.
So you
All right, you good?
trying to have you.
All right. I got 3 minutes with y'all, so let's focus. Focus. Timeshares. So a timeshare is sometimes called a vacation ownership. Is a property with a divided form of ownership or use rights.
And you skip like.
We went over it already.
Yeah, we went over.
You gotta do it right.
So a timeshare is a property with a divided form of ownership or use rights. So these properties are typically resort condominium units in which multiple parties hold rights to the use of the property. So that means that one property, multiple people have the rights to use that property. And each owner of the same accommodations is allotted their period of time. So you can use these properties that you pay for, but other people pay for the same property, and they can use it at specific times of the year.
Which means that if you're taking a vacation, you have to take a vacation every second week in
The
August.
minimum purchase is a 1 week. The minimum purchase is a 1 week ownership, and the high season weeks demand the higher prices. So units may be sold as partial ownership, lease, or right to use, in which case the latter holds no claim to ownership of the property. So there's blackout dates. So you may think that, oh, you know what? Remember that same female that you brought to Taco Bell? Now you want to spend New Year's Eve with her, right? So you try to go to your timeshare because you're bragging about your timeshare, but you can't use it during New Year's Eve because that's a blackout date. You can't use it during Christmas because that's a blackout date, right? Which means blackout dates means that you can't book it out even though it's your property. So how you own property and people are telling you
That's like
what?
somebody locking you out of your own house.
Exactly. So don't get into it. And the resale values for these suck. So you actually, when you sell these, you're actually going to lose money because people know that these properties suck to have.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah, don't hit your head, George.
Yeah.
45. Let's take our quiz real quick.
Another quiz.
Yes. Don't you love it?
Look how smart you're getting, though.
Uh-huh. Especially Josh. All right, you guys. You can start.
I need all y'all making money for when I'm in the nursing home. I need all y'all making good money, so
You ain't got a question.
Oh, never mind if I got kids. I need you making money, so when I'm in the nursing home, huh?
If you have kids, they don't love you enough to put you in a nursing home. They better not.
I'm gonna tell them you said so.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, let's video chat them. Listen, I want you to tell them. You on my side.
Josh, you finished? Tell me the answer for number 3 real quick. What'd you put? C?
Yeah, I always said that when I was in the class. Now you look at it. Yeah, but right. Yeah, my dad is not.
Oh wait, you can't change your mind now.
No, my dad
Bro,
is
you didn't
right.
read the answer.
He's gonna be real
I
upset.
did.
Yeah, he's gonna be real upset. He's gonna be like chilling through the, this is my
Really? Lend it to
bill. You do the dishes.
Right.
Right.
Any answer.
They're trying to get me to
That's
stand
what John
in
was
a short sleeve collared shirt.
I don't know. What constraint of
Nobody will put I'm telling you again. They're trying to
All right. Number 1.
Kendra, we gonna listen after, don't worry.
Kendra, do number 1 for me. I want to hear your voice. Do number 1. She is.
What is the average overdraft fee dollar amount? I put B, $35.
That is correct. Josh, number 2.
What is the predator lending? The practice of the predator of giving one the highest range of groups from the best.
Good job, Josh.
Okay, so
3.
What is number?
A and B is right.
I put A.
Cause you still win.
Me too.
That's what I did. I put going on topic.
Yeah, you
I put
did.
B.
Does anyone have anything different for number 3?
It's not really something for free.
Oh. What was it? What's D?
Boys use the finance or something.
I put A. That's what I put. What's the question?
D?
Yeah.
D is
Why
a
is no
game?
money down? Pay nothing.
yeah.
Wait,
What's the not paying nothing at the moment?
Yes, D is correct.
B's correct.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4. Who wants to do 4?
Me.
Go ahead.
Who are debt collectors? People that contact you to collect money owed.
Anyone have anything different?
The person you owe.
But I didn't want to say the person you owe because there's multiple people. Debt collectors.
Well, correct. And debt collectors is an agency. So that is correct. And
Oh,
lastly,
right?
yeah.
No, it's C.
Number 5.
Oh, I don't know.
Who wants number 5?
Me,
Go ahead.
what can you string you from your financial past? I said overdraft fees, top shares, and giving savings.
And what?
That's B.
Overdraft.
Giving and saving.
Pause. Anybody else got something else? I put A.
What's that?
Predatory loans, overdraft fees, bad debt, and bad investments.
Nice.
Correct.
Okay,
All right, that's it.
Okay, so like I was trying to say.
Oh, hold on. You don't have to wait 1 more second.
That's it, that
Hold on. Don't go nowhere.
Oh wait, what?
Pass it around,
is it
pass it.
unisex or like women or men?
It matters. It matters.
I'm sure.
Small.
What's your name?
Kendra.
Kendra Small.
You need a small?
Nah, Kendra.
Oh, she got a
Oh,
large.
Okay.
Oh my God, she needs
extra
large.
Nah, just cause she's tall, that's all.
She needs a medium.
All my unisex shirts are small.
And they don't fit. You need a small. I mean, a medium. A medium.
Yes, sir.
Chandler, what size is
Chandler.
Chandler?
Small.
Like in regular shirts, I wear in my.
Oh wait, no. Put it on as medium. I got. Yeah, I need
Exactly. I
extra
don't.
small.
Like,
Bro, I gotta check. You gotta think about that.
You do, honey, you do. I get it.
You see? A small won't fit right there. It'll never be up.
like I was.
Alright.
What's your name?
Double X.
Like,
That's
it's a
fake.
speed bump.
But it's not. Like,
It's going for the long run. If there's a car.
$40 at the corner. It's like, what do you mean? Are you
It would give you that little easy sensation to go over that little hill.
Yes.
Where?
We're gonna do the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, so next week, right? Next week is our last, togetherness, where we do the award ceremony. But before, I might shed one tear. But before we, get into the celebration and everything, when we first come in, you guys are gonna take your final assessment. You're also gonna fill out your teacher's assessment, right? And while you guys are celebrating and eating and all this stuff, I'm gonna be grading those assessments. And so then you're gonna know,
I'll do the
if you can assess.
I'll do the teacher evaluation after I get my grade on it. Yes.
So here's the thing.
Hold on, everybody.
Hold on, guys. Your white books, take those with you. It doesn't need to. Doesn't need to come back. But you need to hold on to it. Rewind sometimes,
Yes.
right? And your black books too if you have those.
I'm taking the test.
Anybody want chicken?
And there's chicken if you want chicken to go.
Can I say what I was gonna say now?
Yes, please.
Yes, I want to hear it.
I'm in Drummond, right? And we have to pay for a